City Adventures. Chapter 1. The doorbell rings. Peppermint strings. Violet and Louie were playing Minecraft in the kitchen while breakfast was being made. Lauren was making hash. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning when Daniel came up. They were still playing Minecraft and he rang on the doorbell. Louie ran up. Violet answered. Then they went up the steps to play Minecraft. Well, they did. Daniel showed Violet portals. Then they had an idea to build a machine to take them to the land of make-believe. Without dying, that is. There was a myth that if you died, you would go to make-believe world, which is kind of true. But they built the machine in real life, not Minecraft. They saved and quitted before they built the machine, of course. But it was a green machine, and since it was green, it was programmed to take them to one little spot in make-believe world, a city called Peppermint City. They got in the machine, it rattled and cracked and burned and crashed. And then they were feeling a little concerned to be lost in between, but they weren't. They opened the door, and there was a bright, beautiful land with flowers and trees. And in the distance, they could see green buildings. The machine appeared in a lovely farm. There were rows of corn with yellow, with the farmer with yellow seeds. There was a few buildings in the distance, like I'm saying. So Violet and Louie and Daniel hopped out and greeted the farmer. The farmer offered them 3 horses for them to get to Peppermint City sooner. It was a long ride through mountains and through snow, but eventually they got there. It was a beautiful ride, too. The farmer gave them some luxury. At Peppermint City, they got out, and the first thing they saw was a skyscraper that was like really huge, like the biggest skyscraper you have ever seen. And it was green. They went over, Louie licked it, and Violet and Daniel smelled it. It tasted like peppermint. And like I have been saying, Peppermint City was all made out of peppermint. There were peppermint cars, peppermint motorcycles, and so they went along. And one of the weirdest things they saw was a green peppermint cow hanging on a stoplight. It was strung up by a peppermint rope. And in its hand was a peppermint glow stick. So Daniel, the only good climber, climbed up the pole and untied the rope that the cow was hanging from, and he put it down. The cow rappelled down, weirdly enough. It was actually part human, part cow, so it could walk on 2 legs, and it had human similarities. Then Violet and Louie went along. The cow went along too, but they were very annoyed because the cow stunk and it had peppermint toots. So the cow felt pity and decided he would leave them in peace. So the cow wandered down the streets the other way while they turned the other way. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Not the right flavor, breakfast or candy. The next day, there was a band playing bunches of music, and Violet, Louie, and Daniel were in a hotel. Then they got up, and there was a great racket and yells and hollers in the lobby. They were just about to serve breakfast, but then they realized that from the regular land, their machine was broken, and they couldn't get any other food. It was just like the machine Violet and Louie built, but it was a little different. So Violet, Louie, Daniel wondered what all this racket and stuff was. So Violet and Louie and Daniel went and brushed their teeth, went downstairs, and was wondering what all the racket was. There were clangs, screams, bashes, booms, matters, crumbs, flying booms. Anyways, they went downstairs, and the first thing they heard was a bunch of yells and bashes and clashes. They heard the owner of the hotel say, "We don't have any chocolate to go with the pancakes. We need the chocolate syrup. We need the regular syrup. But what about the pancakes? We don't have any batter. We just have these peppermint sweets. They're not going to work. We have peppermint gum, but that's not a breakfast. We need pancakes. It's pancake day." Violet, Louie, and Daniel rolled their eyes. But they went in, and the owner of the hotel said, "Get out of here. We're looking for stuff." But they offered some help. They looked for breakfast, but whatever they could do, they couldn't find anything not peppermint for breakfast. But the owner of the hotel, who was acting a little ratty, but he got better soon enough, said that there was a nearby candy store that they could go to. And they said they just didn't sell candy. They also sold some other foods, but it was mostly candy. He said that they would have a best luck there. They looked there, but there were still no peppermint foods. But good old Louie, who loved sweets like Lego candy, Tic Tacs, gum, said, "Can we please just look for sweets? I like the Lego candy." "Okay," said Violet. "Okay," said Daniel. So they decided that they would go ahead and, they decided that they would go along and look for some sweets. Meanwhile, Daniel pulled a $5 bill out of his pocket. And he gave the $5 bill to Louie. Violet, who was scanning the shelves for Lego candy, said, "Louie, do you like peppermint flavor Lego candy?" And he said, "No." And like how I have been saying, they are in a peppermint city. But Louie went along still looking. Come on, we gotta go." No. "I want the candy," said Louie, in a most unrespectful voice. Or maybe cross. Anyways, Violet and Louie and Daniel decided at some point that they'd go out, so they helped Louie look. Everything was peppermint flavored. I know why, said Daniel. Daniel was a kind man. He was only 9. Violet was 6, and Louie was 3. Anyways, he said, I know, there isn't enough not non-peppermint stuff here. Everything is peppermint. It's either fake peppermint or peppermint. But most of the stuff is crazy. It's all peppermint, except for our horses. Meanwhile, they decided they would leave and explore some. So they went out, and then they saw something terrible happening. There was, yes, and yes, peppermint burglars. Now, I'm not kidding, burglars made out of peppermint. So, they decided that they just would ignore them and then blast when a burglar. A bullet was sent flying into the air as a metal blur. Violet and Louie dodged it, and then Daniel almost got hit, but then he ducked and it smashed into the side of a building. But this building was very old and flimsy, so it made a poof of dust. But half of the building started to crumble. The burglars ran. Violet and Louie were, of course, kind of wishing Daniel got hit, but not, because Daniel was their best friend. So, crumble went the building, crash went the cars, smash went the people, smash went the motorcycles, and Violet, Louie, Daniel ran. "What are we gonna make it?" said Violet. "We are," said Daniel. "What are we doing? Watch, shit," said Louie. They ran to a bridge. Ahead, there was a green ocean, peppermint water. Or so they thought. Went down to the beach. They dipped their feet in, but it was warm. Have you ever got yourself a drink known as tea? The tea is warm. So, and it was just like peppermint tea. So it wasn't peppermint water, it was peppermint tea. But anyways, they figured out they just had to have some peppermint tea. Their appetite was getting so high because they were so hungry. So they decided they'd drink a lot of peppermint tea coming from the ocean. And then Louie, who did not like peppermint tea one little tiny bit, was like, "I'm hungry. We need to find something little and yummy." Violet and Louie rolled their eyes and said, "Okay." But they couldn't find any food. Chapter 4. Looking for food. Eating everything. Violet and Louie went off the beach and went back into the streets. But right before they did, a crazy boardwalk went down the beach. Violet and Louie walked on the boardwalk. They looked, and there were lots and lots of poles saying things like Macy's, ShopRite, BJ's Fries, and much more. Such as D-Max shoes, BJ's Fries were the most popular. Violet and Louie went along, and Louie nibbled on one of these posts just because the taste was yummy. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they didn't like peppermint foods. They liked peppermint tea, but all of them loved plain peppermint. So, they went along eating these posts. They fell down. They nibbled on them more. But there was chaos going on. Because all the chomp down the poles and chomp down the stands and chomp down the fries that were peppermint. Yeah, said Daniel. These are peppermint fries. They look, everything is peppermint here. We must go back. But we're so far away from that farm, said Violet. No, said Louie. Follow me. They went around the corner. And the cow that they had seen earlier was still standing there. So they decided that they would follow the cow, and it was familiar. It was standing in the exact spot that they had come earlier. 3 days ago, that was. Anyways, they followed the cow over, crossed the sidewalk, turned, crossed, turned, crossed. It kept getting more and more country. There wasn't as much bustling. Violet, Louie, and Daniel were glad to leave the noises and smogs of Peppermint City behind. I'm not used to this smell, said Louie. Well, it's not peppermint, said Daniel. No, it ain't, said Violet. Keep going, said Louie. So they kept going. Into the farm they went. Rang the farmer's doorbell. Out stepped the farmer. Then the farmer whistled. And then out of the barn trotted 2 big brown horses, the ones that they had rode earlier. Wait a minute, said Louie. I need one. So he gave the other one. When they were all set, they rode to their machine, left the horses on their own to go trot back to the barn. The machine soared up to the land of not make-believe, but the regular time. End of this book of Peppermint City.